On this episode of Mad Ginger Customs, we're going to install a Mustang electric steering rack and a Crown Vic swapped 1964 Ford F100. We're also going to rebuild the front end and we're going to upgrade the brakes.
Let's go!
We are back working on the 64 F100. Seems like that's all I work on now. Hoping to wrap this up in the next couple episodes. This front end that came out of the Crown Vic, it was a police car and it's beat. Like the ball joints are beat and the tie rods are beat. That's okay, because we bought a kit, control arms, ball joints, tie rods, sway bar links. And then what we have here is this is a Mustang electric steering rack. You heard me. You put 12 volts to it, you put a signal to it, and supposedly it gives you power steering. So we have here a kit from Range Industries. I bought this kit. This kit is not sponsored. This video is not sponsored by Range Industries. And it comes with new inner tie rods to match the threads of the Crown Vic tie rods in the length. All the hardware. It comes with these mounting cups, and it tells you, depending on which size wheel is which size cup you're going to use. It comes with new straps for the steering boots. And I purchased this separately from Range Industries. This is the wire connection kit they offer for this rack. Now, the people I bought it from were down in Florida. This was a used rack from a junkyard I found on eBay. They did give me the clips, but honestly, unpinning those and trying to repin them, almost impossible. So I think this kit is only like $30. So obviously, this is the way to go. I bought a ton of wire, and that is copper wire. That is not copper-clad aluminum. That is good copper wire. So what we're going to try to do today is put this stuff in Jess's truck, doing a couple things. Trying to make it safer, all new front end components, and then trying to give her power steering without having to figure out some type of magic between a Chevy power steering pump, not an LS pump, a regular old school pump, and then having to do hose conversions, and then you have to reduce the pressure for the Crown Vic pump for the Crown Vic rack. I don't want to do any of that. I think this is a good solution. Pricey? Yeah, the Range Industries kit, I mean, a few $100, I believe. It wasn't outrageous. And then the rack was a couple $100. I think I'm into it for maybe $600 or $700, but electric power steering. If the truck died, the motor died, as long as the battery's got juice, she still has power steering. I think it's a good happy medium. So we're gonna get right into it, rip this apart. Jess will be out in a little bit. She helped me take the nose off the truck in her pajamas. I got the passenger side pretty much apart. You guys don't need to watch that, just taking out bolts. A lot of them fight you. You got to kind of hold on to the ball joints because they spin, because they're pretty clapped out. Same with the tie rods. So I'm glad that I made this decision, because I can't put Jess in this thing. I took this mount right off of here. This is garbage. There's not enough here to even make this safe. I'm not sure why they sell that. It would have to be reinforced significantly. So I got the Range Industries ones coming. I don't know if they're going to be here by the time this video is over, but we will put those in because they're brick house. So we're going to get that bolt out of there. We're going to get the control arm off. We're going to knock the ball joint out, reassemble, and get the steering rack off. Every single bolt on this side, I think this is the side where it sat in the ocean, because, man, I don't know if I got enough left in the tank to do the rest of this job. 13 millimeter. This impact gun, I've always talked highly of it. It's smoking now because I tried to get these off so much. But smoking or not, she's still kicking. And when it dies, I'll go right back and I will buy the exact same one if they have it, because it's been so good to me. Pull that out of there. Ooh. Fire in the hole. I think what we're going to do is we're going to buy coilovers for the front of this. I didn't tell you that. These are all rotted, so we'll have to just pop them out. It won't be this rigmarole.
I was going to say, you have to do this all over
again? No, it won't be that bad. But it's going to need to happen. These things are pretty shot, and I don't think you should be driving on them. So it's just, there's financial constraints at this point. Right, meow? These control arms got to come off. Maybe we'll just scuff them up and hit them with a quick coat of paint, but we got to take these ball joints. They're looser than okay, we're not going to go there because I'll make up something inappropriate that I'll have to edit out anyway. These are snap ring. So you got to get the snap ring out, get the ball joints out. You know, can you even free them up? Maybe. Oh, that one's okay. Cover these things with your hands, guys.
You're making me nervous pulling that towards you.
First off, I have never hit myself in the face with anything ever.
What?
If you guys are new to the channel, I have a scar on the side of my face. On my nose, yeah. When I was, I think, 17 or 18 years old, maybe 18 or 19, I was working on my...
I didn't have a license yet.
You didn't have a license, so yeah. We've been together that long. I was working on a Jeep, and we had just went, like, wheeling, and I had, like, a mud guard on the front of the radiator, and I was trying to pull it off, and I had a knife in my hand. I was just trying to pop off the zip ties, and it was, like, bent, and I didn't realize it. I pulled it, and I ended up breaking my nose. My nose is offset to one side, and stuffed this knife through, literally through, and then through the center of my nose as well. It was pretty bad. You know, there was a few stitches, okay, a handful of stitches. You know, unless lessons were learned.
Black eye.
Black eye, bad too. Yeah, well, actually 2 black eyes.
So, how are you wearing a t-shirt? I have wool long johns on, a long sleeve, a winter coat.
It's not cold out
here.
It
says it's 40 in here.
40's not cold. That says like 42 or 44.
Okay, it's less than 60.
First off, that's perfectly acceptable temperature to keep meat at, and I am meaty. So there you go. There are eccentrics in the bottom of this, so I'm just marking them so I know where to put them back or where they're going to be at. All right, to get the control arm bolts out, it's really much easier if we just take the rack off because that's coming off anyway. So you got these 2 bolts holding this rack in on each side. We're going to take that off. You may have to pull those studs out of the frame, out of the cross member. I'm not really sure. I have to look at that first. But let's pull the rack off because we don't need that where we're going. Yeah, don't hold on to that. That'll get you. That's it. We just tap and tap. Then we'll just slide it past that. And then we'll put it back in. You know, so we don't end up knocking the front end out of the truck. And here's another note for you guys if you're doing this.
Oh.
You don't have to be gentle with it because we have all new parts. But here's the thought. Oh, we need the boots off of this. No, we don't. We got these boots. If you're doing this, the electric steering conversion, keep in mind that your sway bar, depending on where you mounted it, if you already have it mounted.
I was just going to say, what are you doing?
If you have it mounted already, you may have to unbolt it and just move the mounts forward because the E-rack is wider here. See that? So your mount may touch these. Sometimes you can just zip these tabs off because you don't need them. That's another tip from your Uncle Dave. I'm here to help. All right. Now, meow. I also believe that I think you're supposed to cut this off right here. See this little pan here? I think that's supposed to be cut off. We will reference the instructions supplied online by the manufacturer and bolt this thing in, and it's going to be amazing. Will this come out? I don't know. We may have to use the press. We may not have a choice, but that's it. Now what you're going to do is obviously you're going to let this cool down, and we're going to clean up inside of here so we can slide that new ball joint. Technically the new ball joint should just slide in there. Little bit of press, but not a lot. Like you shouldn't have to destroy this like we did to that to get this to go back in. And then there's another clip that holds this on, and we'll show you how to do that. So what Jess and I are going to do, because Jess is really, I don't know if you guys know this, Jess is really good at prep and paint. Her last job, she was a body tech. She worked, I mean, it was at Mako. I mean, but, you know, it's a step above Earl Shives. So we're going to sand these down, and Jess is going to apply the nicest coat of black paint to these that'll last at least a day and a half. And then we're going to put them back in. I don't have anything that fits over these ball joints well to not destroy them. So I did run to Advanced Auto Parts real quick, and I grabbed their ball joint kit, their master ball joint kit. Because what you need to do is you need to press these from the outer ring of that. So you kind of make sure that boot, you get that boot all the way in there. This has to sit flush right here, guys, or you're going to destroy your boots and your rings. And then this thing's going to be pushed in from the bottom. So you're going to have to figure out, you know, which combination of items to put on this. So what I found was this works, and then they have this cap right here, and this cap clears that ball joint bottom. So that ball joint bottom will slide into this cap. So that's kind of what you need. And then I'm going to set it up and I'm going to show you guys. So this is kind of how this thing works. It drives this down, which pulls this part up, and then the ball joint should go into the void in here. Ideally, you're going to press it up a little bit, make sure that this cup sits around it so you're not banging the cup into the bottom of the ball joint, and then you're going to give it hell. I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand. Let me switch hands. My battery's dead in my impact. Oh no, we just need a little bit more. That's it. Just make sure the gap's gone. Then reverse. Put your slim down, flip it, and reverse it. And then this thing should come off, and see how this came up into the void. Now you can put your snap ring on it. And then you're going to put all this back in the box and bring it back to the auto parts store because it was $166, and you want that back. It's nice that they give them to you, you know, they rent them to you for, quote, free. And all you got to do is, you know, pay the deposit, which is nice. So I'm going to send this back to work with my son because he's going to work today. A quality paint job starts with meticulous prep work, hours of prep work, needle scaling, sandblasting, ultimately prime it, paint it, and you're going to have perfection. Let me show you what you're not going to get with if you don't do any of that. So we just hit him with a wire brush, and we brought him out in the paint booth. It's windy and it's 45 degrees out. So that paint has almost zero chance of staying on there, but it's not a show truck, we don't care. So we're gonna let this dry, we're gonna eat some lunch, we're gonna put things back together. All right, while the paint booth is working, we are gonna move on to the Range Industries kit for the Mustang electric steering rack. In the instructions are available online. I have them on my phone. It's a PDF. It's got really good pictures. Tells you exactly what to do here. So the first thing it's going to tell you to do is you're going to take your steering rack apart. You're going to install the Mustang inner tie rods they give you. And you're going to install whatever boot. These are basically just stops. So the steering rack can't go one way or the other too far. So dependent upon how wide your wheel is and if it hits your frame, not really too concerned about that. We're not drifting or autocrossing this. And then it moves down to taking the studs out of there. And they also would like you to remove the ears on the cross member. So you have, it looks like that when you're done. And I just grabbed this at 8 mil, right? And now I looked at this already once and I'm like, there's no way in hell these are coming out. But honestly, they're coming right out. Both sides broke loose. That's great. The instructions tell you where to use Loctite, which is nice. I unscrewed this stud almost forever. Look how long this thing is. Like, this thing goes, I think when it goes through, it anchors into the back axle. Look at how long this thing is. Anyway, take them out. Not bad. That's pretty good. So we'll just clean it up with the flap wheel and do the other side. By the directions, this should look like that when you're done. So keeping with the theme of we gotta get the control arms on first, I just kind of put both sides back together. You know, I don't think you guys want to watch that. It's kind of boring. Just putting bolts back in. Everything's went fine. A couple notes. Put the upper control arm bolts in obviously before the shocks, because that's why we took the shocks. You know, the coil assembly, the strut, really is a strut. Take that out first. So we're gonna put that back in second. Make sure you put your Zerk fittings, your grease fittings, in your ball joints. I gotta find the ones that came for the top, because I don't know where I put them, or I'll have to dig some out of the drawer. I got the ones in the lowers, and we're gonna grease everything. I never trust the factory grease. You know, you always gotta make sure you lube them up. The steering rack section's not super difficult. I haven't really even been looking at the directions, but it's just like changing an inner and outer tie rods. I already did this side. So all you're gonna do is pull the clamp, which I conveniently lost this one, so I'll just put a warm drive on it. You slide this back, take this whole thing out, I put a brand new tie rod in. I would not suggest using, used tie rods when they're right here and you can change them. This kit comes with the inner and it comes with the jam nut. So that's actually super convenient. So I'll show you on this side. This slides back, and then you're gonna pull, this is like the bumper of how far this thing's allowed to go in. It's like a steering stop, because depending on how wide your wheel is, it might scrub a little bit. So you gotta kind of lift this over the ring, over the lip, slide that back, and that gives you your hex. And then you gotta kind of give it hell to get it off. And then basically all you're gonna need off of this thing is the boot. You don't really, and the clamp really. I lost the clamp on the other side. Because you're gonna have a new tie rod and a new jam nut provided by Range Industries. And you're gonna use yourself a new tie rod end, because that's a Mustang tie rod end and it does not fit. I guess it's a bolt-in affair from here, and then there's some wiring, and we'll show you like the temporary way to hook it up, because we're gonna have to do a lot of wiring in this truck. All right, I lied. This next part's so easy. Let's just do it. So this is the Range Industries bracket. This is basically the rack is upside down. So all you do is put these bolts straight through it. It is recessed, and they give you a poly lock nut to put on the top. And I'm sure they have a torque setting, which I'll have to look that up for you. Hold on. I have my phone conveniently behind the camera. Okay, you're supposed to torque these to 148 foot-pounds while holding the bolt head with an open end wrench. This is where this thing lives, basically on the back of the rack. And then you're going to use those holes right there. And you're going to screw them directly into the mounts you cut. Make sure you use Loctite. Says it in the instructions. Do what you're told, or you get the hose again. This thing is actually pretty simple to install, this kit from Range Industries. What I did was I measured the old steering rack from tie rod to tie rod, and this is close. I mean, 61 and 7/8, 62, 220, 221, whatever it takes. So what I did was, off camera, just clamps on the boots, and these things are loose, so we can kind of get them where they need to go. And we're going to try to, give it the old, deeply. This thing isn't terribly heavy, but when you're by yourself, you might just want to use a jack, I guess. All right, first problem is you can't get the bolts in right there. See, can't get the bolts in. So I have to take this bracket back off, push these in, and then bring it up as a unit so they won't fall back out. That's not a big deal. It's 2 bolts. The other issue is here. This thing's gonna spin up like this. You're literally gonna be in that tie rod boot. That's a problem. This is gonna have to be cut all the way up to this nut. I don't remember seeing that in the instructions, but not a big deal. We'll just hit it with the cutoff wheel. Life is difficult. It's more difficult when you're stupid. Read the instructions completely. I saw a picture of it assembled. I'm assuming that, yeah, you assemble it and put it in. The instructions are very clear, and it says, have someone help you, install the bracket, torque it properly, and then install the rack on top of the bracket. That's on me. This kit is correct. I'm not bright enough to follow instructions. So, what I did was I flipped over these bolts. I don't know, maybe they're supposed to be like that from the factory. I don't remember because I didn't take the car apart that this came from. So maybe they are supposed to be like that. That does give us a little more clearance. Now I'm going to put this rack mount, this thing, back into the truck / car, whatever the hell it is now. And then I'm going to try to weasel this rack on top of here by myself. And we'll see if we can do it. So take 3. Be smarter than me. Read the instructions fully and understand them fully. Spec is 150 foot-pounds. So we are going to use an actual torque wrench because I'm done screwing this up. That's it. You guys didn't even know I owned a torque wrench, did you? Yeah, I know. The instructions also say have an assistant, which we don't have one because my assistant refuses to do anything before 11 o'clock in the morning. It says have them help you get this thing on the mount. But you can do this on a jack, I think, because it's like just about there. That's it. We're in. Now, what does this look like under here? Oh, we're gonna clear. Okay, so we're gonna clear plenty of room here, I think. Oh yeah. Mental note, if you have your Crown Vic bolts top down, you gotta just flip them over, it's easier. So maybe that'll save some of you guys. I don't know. I haven't even watched the video on somebody install this. I probably should have done that first, but before I did this side, I made sure I could get my steering knuckle back in, the universal, just in case I had to slide this in and out, because if you guys watch the channel, you know we struggle bust getting any of that to function properly. I can't see nothing. This is slotted, so you can kind of slide it. Oh yeah, perfect. Guys, good fit. Really good fit. Wow. All right. I gotta be honest, that's kind of impressive. Going to torque them back down with the proper torque specs because I'm done half-assing it. Honestly, you could do this in a matter of, if you had help, maybe an hour and a half, maybe. If you're a better mechanic than I am, I'm not a mechanic, I'm an HVAC guy, so if you're a mechanic, I bet you can sail through this. So I'm gonna snug them down, slap the tie rods in, we'll kind of go from there, and let's see how she looks. Jess came out just in time, like always, after I got the steering rack already in. So there she is. Now, you remember what this felt like before?
Yes.
Okay.
Sloppy.
She was a sloppy girl, wasn't she? Yeah. Go feel the steering with no power to it and feel if it's all sloppy mess again.
It's tight.
She's tight. She's tight. Guys, I'm really happy with this. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I went with the E-rack as long as we put power to and it works. And we're gonna also try to throw the brakes on it just so we can put the wheels back on it so we can try it on the ground in a real world situation. I know these Mustang racks, it's not like a Chevy where you can, you know, use one finger and zip it around. It's gonna give you feedback because that's kind of how you'd want the car to feel. You want the feedback from the road. I've been told these are the happy medium, so we're gonna figure that out. Next up on the agenda is Jess's brakes. I bought brand new power stop calipers.
Fancy red.
Fancy red. They're just basically Reman Ford ones. They say Fomoco right on them. Right there. But they're ready to go. They were not very expensive. I also bought the Willwood kit for those calipers. Now, I'm not sure we can use all of it, but It comes with the brackets, so even if I have to bolt or weld the bracket on, it gives us a braided stainless line, so it's not going to puff out. And then we're going to go with the Detroit axle kit. We've used these before. It's got slotted and drilled rotors, ceramic pads. Oops, ceramic pads. I don't know what the hell's in here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it comes with brake clean and brake fluid. We actually would need that, so we'll use that.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to do, guys, is I don't have brake lines made and run. That is a whole nother issue. So I think all we're going to do now is bolt everything on so it's there, and then all we got to do is run the brake lines to where we determine we want them. I want to be able to see the wheel over this so I can determine where I want the brake line to go. I usually use the brake clean that comes in the kit just to wipe off the rotors. You don't want oils on the rotors. You know, if your hands are greasy, don't touch the face. You know, how much does that really affect it? Not necessarily sure, but you know, you don't want it to ruin your setup. So this is now a loaded caliper because I basically just put it all together. The only thing that what you would need if you did buy all of this stuff is you still need the bolts that you took out of the back. And you got to make sure that when you're doing this, guys, there is a right and a left caliper, and if you want to bleed your brakes, you better do it right. Because if you put this bleeder on the other side and it's like this, you're never bleeding the air out of this caliper. This bleeder has to go on the top. I'm sure everybody and their mother has told you that on YouTube. So I'm now the 18th person to tell you that. You're welcome. Thanks for coming in to Dave's
TED Talk.
TED Talk. What do you think of that, honey?
Fancy.
That's sexy, right? Let me see. She hates when anybody on YouTube calls inanimate objects sexy.
Yeah. No, I didn't say I hate it.
Look at that.
It's funny.
Oh, she's good. All right, so this kit specifies that this rack needs 6-gauge wire. Don't take that as a suggestion. Only go 6-gauge or bigger. But if you go bigger than 6-gauge, you can't use this connector. So I bought exactly what they suggested because I want this to work. They want you to slide your insulator. This is going to seal in the connector when it snaps on. They want the outer piece to go onto this turquoise, and then you're going to clamp the wire on the inside of here. I didn't feel safe with just crimping them over. It would probably be okay, but I soldered it because I don't trust it. It's telling you this is how these things are supposed to go together. They lay on their sides. I'm assuming they go, yep, they go opposite each other. They want the negative on this side. It did click, and it does reach all the way in. You can see that. Mm-hmm. And then the positive, which is also soldered because I'm not taking those chances with power. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push, push, push. It's going to click, 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 and it's all the way down in there. So now you can plug this into your rack. Now, if you bought a kit, you can buy this pre-assembled from another company, not from Range, and they give you about, I don't know, I think the ground they give you like 18 inches. I'm not going to cut this at all because we have to figure out where we're going to put our power distribution center. I don't know where that is. I'm going to find that. I'm going to show you guys. It's like basically a relay junction box, so it switches relays. This does not get switched. This is grounded and goes right to your battery source. So technically this is powered all the time, and then this connector is what turns it on and off. So you could technically run this to the lug on the starter, or if you're a Ford guy that has a Ford, obviously this is a Chevy. It's a Chevy and a Ford. I know. Stop throwing up when I say that. You can put it to the solenoid side. You can run it right directly to the battery. So I don't know what we're going to do. I bought a metric S-ton of wire. This was not cheap, but this is correct. This is not copper-clad aluminum wire. This is solid all the way through. So it's like welding / battery cable. I feel good about this. This is gonna like burn up in the car or corrode and then leave her without power steering. Now, worst case scenario, she could drive the truck without power steering once it was rolling. The little connector proved to be more of a problem because I didn't have small enough gauge wire, so I just had to pull this out of, this came in like a wiring harness for a Jeep or something. It may or may not be long enough. We can always add to it. So what you do is you put your connector on, just like I showed you, you crimp it, and then you got to push it, and it really has to go all the way in. It will click, and then you put these 2 spacers in, and then you push back on the white piece, and it locks it in. Now you can just slide this on, and you only have to, this is just 1 switched power, and it's supposed to be 5 amps fused. The main connector is supposed to be, I think the factory Ford fuses 125, it said in the manual for this kit. So, you know, prepare accordingly. This should be fused. You don't burn it up, you know. So I will be getting a few. Now you're gonna go plug all your wonderful connectors back in. And this one is over here, like that, and then that goes in. So all you need to do is, I'm gonna ground probably to the frame over here. You know, I'm gonna clean off a spot, I'm gonna ground to the frame because I want as little wiring as possible there. And then we're gonna bring the big whip up, fuse it, and put it to a power source. And then we'll have to run this to the switched kit. And this is what I bought. This is just from Amazon. It's made by a company called True Mods, or at least that's who imports it. So this will give you switched power, right? You're not gonna run this steering rack off of this, okay? You're gonna run your switched 5 amps off of this. And you know, I'm gonna run a couple things off of this. I'm gonna run the ignition for the AGI off of this, and I'm gonna run Jess's fans, her cooling fans off of this. And then if we, you know, maybe horns, lights, you know, flashing orange, blinking lights to let people know she's coming and get out of the way. Just kidding.
What kind of light?
Okay, this is makeshift. We get it. I got the battery cables that I pulled off my engine run stand, and I'm just gonna be the signal wire, and this is what we're doing. We got a battery, it's very low voltage, it's like 12.0 volts. This battery swap that came out of the Grand Marquis that we chassis swap with the International, we will bring that back on the channel when this truck's done. So what we're gonna do here is just give it the tappy tap and make sure nothing lights on fire. Okay, I'm just doing it. I'm gonna go for it.
Why would something light on fire?
Because if it's shorted to ground.
Oh.
Okay, now, technically this should turn the rack on. So Jess is gonna take you with her just into the cab to turn the wheel. And then you're gonna tell me if you feel a difference.
Well,
okay?
I'm not really in the cab.
Right,
I'm
you're
outside.
So try it now. I mean, you can turn it because it's off the ground, right?
Yep.
Okay, now hold on. Wait. Wait 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Now try it.
That's not 5 seconds.
Oh, okay, try it now.
So much easier.
Oh, is it really? I can hear it working. Guy, bring the camera over. Oh, you can't move it. You bring
How
the
am I
camera.
going to do that?
We're going to put the wheels on it. Come back. Look at the rotors and look at the calipers. That's legit awesome. Now, granted, we're not keeping these wheels this like bluish green color. These are going to be bronze. The bronze with the red. Going to be awesome. Just a little sneak peek. Welcome back to Dave's makeshift steering. I know it looks fabricable, but all we're doing is just powering it with the battery. Engine's not going to run. We're going to go to Jess. And we're going to go right here. Now, there's no power to this.
Can you take off, please?
There's no power to this. Can you turn the wheels?
No.
Like, no, give it hell.
I'm trying.
Okay, you are moving them, just barely though.
Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, now I'm gonna go powered up, and I'm gonna tell you when to turn, and you're gonna see if you can turn them, okay? All right, see if you can turn it now. Oh, can you? Is it easy?
Yes.
You're kidding. Keep going. All right, straighten it back out.
Good?
Now I just connected power. Can you turn it now?
No.
Come on, put it back in the middle. Stay in the truck. I'm gonna show you guys how this works. Jess is gonna stay there, and we're gonna do this. So we have power hooked up, but we don't have the trigger. This is the trigger wire that comes from that little connector. So Jess can't turn it right now. Give it just a little. No? Okay. So we're gonna hold this on here. You're gonna have 5 seconds because it's got an arm. I'm gonna see if I can back you guys up far enough. All right, try to turn it. Easy peasy. Keep going. It actually has decent radius, it looks like. Oh yeah, you could drift this thing. Look at the tires, guys. All right, straighten it back out. Awesome. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode of Imagine Your Customs. I am thoroughly impressed with the Mustang electric steering rack on the Crown Vic front end. I would highly recommend it. If you had 2 guys working on it, you could probably knock it out, and I would say wiring included, depending upon where you're connecting it, maybe 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours max. I mean, you could knock it out with 2 people. We upgraded the brakes on this thing for Jess, drilled slotted rotors, brand new calipers, ceramic pads. It'll stop well. It should handle well. Moving forward, we have the rest of the fuel system to put in, a bunch of wiring to do. You know, I don't want to subject you to too much of that stuff. And then a lot of cleanup. We're going to have to make a radiator fit in the grill. But as a project, guys, this Range Industries kit, I am not sponsored by them. They did not provide this to me. I paid full price. They had no idea I'm making a video on this. It is good. It fits perfect. There is absolutely no modifications needed. They give you the tie rods. They give you the mount. They give you all the hardware. All you need is the Mustang rack. You pull off their inners. You put this inner supplied by Range on it. And then get yourself some brand new tie rod ends. Don't be cheap. They cost nothing. And then you can bolt the whole thing in one shot and everything's new. So we got new ball joints, we got everything new. So do the normal stuff. Guys, like and subscribe if you haven't, we'd appreciate it. Comment below. It means a lot to us because it makes us be seen on YouTube. We got a Buy Us Coffee link. If you like this kind of content, you can support us. You know, it's a little donation to the channel. And hit the Amazon links. If there's anything in here, like all of the brake parts and everything I bought on Amazon will be in the links. If you click on that link, you don't actually have to buy what's in it. You can buy anything on Amazon, and it helps us out just a tiny little bit. Amazon pays us, you don't. So you are the one in it. I actually haven't felt how the power steering is. Yeah. Is it good?
Yes.
It's good?
Yes.
All right. If Jess says it's good, it's good. So guys, you watched me do this. You watched me do all of this. I've never done this before. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Thanks for watching.